I think we just I think that this conversation really just sums up the fact that we probably need therapy.
Oh, 100%. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Candid Cloud Convos.
It's your favorite podcast hosts, Gina and Emilita. Hopefully you liked last week and you came back for this week's episode because consistency
It's not our strong suit, but we're here.
we're here. It's
here.
coming through. It's coming through. We're manifesting consistency. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks. So,
And on to you, Gina.
wait, say it again. Say it again. This is gonna be like a real newscast.
Okay. And back to you, Gina. I can't.
Thanks, Emily. So yeah, so back on the site today, right here behind me, we have
They really do be like that too, and they're like, yes, thank you.
absolutely, Emily. So let me just tell you, it's unbelievable the site that we're seeing right now at this time.
Right.
Oh shit, I thought I deleted our whole notes. Oh my god. Okay.
I'd be like, all right, it's canceled. Gotta go. That's all you get this week. An utter fail.
Okay. We got a big topic this week.
Yeah. A heavy,
I would say it's a pretty big,
heavier topic. Toxic.
Toxic? Toxic?
Maybe that could be the new TikTok.
Toxic TikTok?
But like TALK.
That's good.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I cannot.
That could be for like podcast clips.
I gotta do that.
We should. Let us know if you guys would like to see that.
I know. And
all of our like highlights.
Like a reel when we've seen each other, and that didn't happen. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think we really got a good opportunity to either, though.
No.
So yeah. Definitely,
I think too because we started separately, so it would have been hard to like do the journey before getting there.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
We'll do it.
Work in progress.
We'll get back to you.
So we didn't say yet what our topic is.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It comes with the heaviness, but we're still going to do our little spin on it.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk about boundaries this week and just kind of, I don't know, just kind of get into like the different things when it comes to boundaries.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever talked about it before. I'm sure we've like touched up on it, but we've never done an entire episode just dedicated to boundaries and kind of what comes with that.
And I think it's also like we talk a lot about self-care, and I think setting boundaries and sticking to them is probably like the most important form of self-care I think you could do, or like it's not really an activity, but keeping that up I feel like has a huge part in all aspects of your life, because boundaries is not just with other people, it's with yourself, with your finances, with your time,
literally like every aspect.
Everything.
And I think it's hard because I mean you have to start learning at a certain point the boundaries that you have within yourself, and then holding yourself to that, which gets you to the point where you can hold other people to that too. Yeah.
So it's like a boundary is basically like a limit to whatever you like feel comfortable with, basically, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say
like the limits that you set with other people, with yourself, with family members, with your partner, with friends, whatever it is. And it says online, I looked up some definitions, and it was basically just saying like a boundary definition is just a limit that keeps you or puts you in a place to protect your well-being, so it like keeps you safe.
Yeah.
But do you think there's a difference between a preference and a boundary, or do you think it's the same thing?
No, I don't. Well, to be honest, I've never really thought about like even comparing the two.
Yeah.
But I don't see them as the same.
Uh-huh.
Like I
Like
think a
one
preference,
holds more weight to it, I feel like.
yeah, like I feel like a
Yeah.
preference is something that can kind of be like it can change.
Altered.
You know, like
Yeah.
I get a boundary can too, but I think a boundary is a lot more significant, I guess, than what a
Yeah.
preference would be. Like that's just
More
what you
set in
prefer.
stone.
But like a boundary is like, yeah, like this is not, you cannot cross this boundary,
Yeah.
can't cross this line. I don't know. That's a
A
really good question.
preference is like a warning, I guess.
Yeah,
Because
it's
the
much
reason
like,
why I ask is because I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about the Kiki Palmer situation with her baby daddy
uh-huh.
and how, not saying that like the whole situation that happened, it's whatever to be picked apart because it was on the internet. So we're going to talk about it.
Okay, I'm understanding what you're talking about
So
in
basically they were
uh-huh.
saying how they were saying that a preference is more important, but
Okay.
that their boundaries, so his boundaries are to have his woman or whatever not, I guess, show too much skin, let's just say, right?
Hmm.
But his preference is that, like, he already got with her out of his own preferences because
Right.
he could look at her Instagram or look at modeling picture, whatever the case may be, and she's probably taking pictures in bikinis or in
Yeah.
dresses or like certain outfits that show her body off, which is her fucking, like, what do you call it, like
Her
her
choice.
prerogative.
Yeah.
Like she should be able to do whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah.
So with you trying to get with someone that's already against your preferences or not aligned with your preferences, and then they were basically saying how, like, in those cases, then you get with that person and you slowly start taking away their true version of themselves and morph
Yeah.
them into what you wanted, but you should have just been with someone who already met those
Right.
preferences, which
I
are
feel like that's
supposedly
almost,
more important.
it's kind of like putting boundaries on that person
Right.
be based on your preference, you know, like
Right.
it reminds me of, you heard the thing about with like Jonah Hill and like his ex that was
Right.
exposing the text
They
messages
talked
to
about
that.
that with the same, like, right after that situation, they talked about that one too.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
it's like, you know, if that's what his preference is in a
Yeah.
partner, it's not to say that that's bad, like that's just who he wants to go for, and that's fine,
Yeah.
because I'm sure there's, you know, there's women out there that don't, you know,
That
post
meets
themselves,
their own
yeah, that meets
forms
that,
or whatever
and
values.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
Mhm.
But you can't get with somebody that does this and then ask them to change.
Exactly.
It's like
And that's
you,
exactly what they were getting at. Like, you
yeah,
can't
you know, it's
go
like
with
that's
someone who
your
already
preference.
doesn't meet your preferences.
Exactly. Like, why try to change them at that point and put it on them like they're doing something wrong when
Right.
you knew this going into it? Or like, what if even, okay, maybe she didn't dress that way that before, but she said that like after she had her baby, she felt like her body really filled out and she's very
Yeah.
confident in the body that she has now. And so maybe she feels more
And
confident
good
to
for
wear these
her.
different outfits, which is
Yeah.
amazing because not everybody feels the most confident after having a baby. Like
Right.
she feels confident in her body and
Yeah.
she feels good about
It
it.
was her
So
birthday.
yeah, I think I thought like when I seen the video, I thought it was gonna be that he was like serenading her and like that was gonna be the issue or something like that. Like
Yeah.
maybe he was uncomfortable with that.
Like the
But it,
closeness.
yeah, the closeness and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But he literally just came for her outfit, which is wild.
And
I
the
don't even
fact
think
that he's like, you're a mom.
okay.
What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah. And like I'm a
I don't
mom now, so that means
understand.
I can't wear what I want to wear anymore. And
Exactly. You're
I don't
right. I
think it
am
was ever
someone's
really.
mom and I'm gonna do what I want because if I
Yeah.
can take care of someone other than myself, I can sure as hell take care of myself.
Yeah.
Like that makes no sense. And also she knew Usher from like years ago. Like they've
That's
been
like
friends for years. It's not like they've ever like done anything outside of that.
uh-huh.
And
And
that's a
also they
part of
wouldn't
his
be doing it
show.
on stage, like, you
And it's a
know.
part of his show. Like it's not like he just did it at that one show. It's literally, it happens in every single one.
And what's the point of putting it on social media? Like, if you didn't like it, have that conversation with her privately.
Because he was
What is
trying to
the point of,
embarrass her.
like, you're embarrassing yourself, really. It's a joke.
Truly.
Like,
And
you
also
joking.
it even said online that um like an example of a healthy boundary would be the right to learn and grow and change your preferences or like what you personally like. So like you said, maybe she didn't dress like that before, but now that she has a new body after becoming a mom, she has the right to change her
Yeah.
mind about things and be a different person, you know, like she can do whatever the hell she wants.
And that's when it comes into play, when it comes into like relationship, is growing with your partner. They're not going to be the same person that they were when you guys met, like, and what at whatever age you guys meet at, you know, like
You
no one's
shouldn't
going to be the
expect that.
same person. Yeah. So it's like either you grow together and you love the person that they're becoming, and obviously she's not doing anything wrong, she's just happy and feeling good about herself. So I don't really understand why that would be a problem or an issue, but it just goes to show, you know, when it comes to relationships, and how you said changing those boundaries and different things, maybe you had this boundary before and you don't have that now. If someone can't accept that,
right,
it's their problem.
Yeah. And
you know?
like, if you first, this is like a dumb example or like a small example, but let's just say when you first get with them, you're like, oh yeah, my favorite soda is Fanta Orange, I don't know. And then 5 years into your relationship, you're like, you know what? Actually, my favorite is Dr. Pepper. And they're like, oh, but it used to be, and like make you feel bad about the fact that you changed your preference or like what you like.
I don't even know who you are anymore.
Right. And it's like, that's not this, like, I should have the right to change what throughout the years, you know? Because I'm definitely not the same person I was even a year ago.
And don't you want your partner to grow and like
right
evolve?
And you learn from each other and like each other's experiences and stuff too. So I don't know why that could be a bad thing.
Yeah, I think when you have your own boundaries for yourself, that's healthy. But when you start putting boundaries on other people, that's when it becomes toxic. And one of the things that I know you like is in the notes here, which I actually really liked, was about you're having your own triggers. And I feel like that kind of comes into play with that too. And
I had never heard it like that before.
Yeah, read it really quick, and then I want to tell you what also I've heard about, like, when it comes to people's triggers.
Okay, so I seen this quote on Instagram, and it says, you have to learn the difference between someone disrespecting you versus you feeling disrespected. Emotional ears hear from a place of offense. Sometimes it's not what they said, it's what you are triggered by. And unless you know what your triggers, you'll see everything as an attack. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, and I think, and it's so funny because I had seen, I don't actually know where I had seen it at, but it was pretty much just saying like you're responsible for your triggers. You know, it's because I feel like nowadays, shit, maybe like cancel culture, whatever. Like, but
it's our fucking podcast.
I feel like nowadays people are so sensitive.
Oh yeah.
And is it right to be, you know, validating people's feelings? Obviously, yes. Like, of course, I'm not saying that it's not, but to an extent now I feel like a lot of people expect to be coddled when it comes to their triggers or, you know, certain things. And I think this really explains it well, is like someone could have said something and it did trigger you, but that doesn't mean that was their intent. That doesn't mean that this person maliciously like trying to set a trigger off for you. So it's not the other person's fault. Like, you have to learn how to deal with your triggers, and like if someone's intentionally doing it, that's different, right?
Of course.
But like if it's just something random and it just so happens to trigger you, that's not the other person's responsibility. It's your responsibility on how you handle it.
Exactly.
And I think that's something a lot of people forget nowadays.
That's literally perfect, because I also seen if you have a lack of personal boundaries with yourself, then you're prone to accept responsibilities that aren't yours, because you don't know where your responsibilities end and where that other person's responsibilities start. Because they just get meshed, or like kind of when we talked about before, like being a people pleaser, like you think you're in charge of everyone's feelings and everyone's everything going on, that you take on those responsibilities probably without even thinking about it. You know? Because you don't know, it's like a blurred line, so you don't know where it's like the line in the sand. So then you're just like fucking guilty for everything.
And like
always your fault.
For real, no, really. Like, you think something went wrong, it's like, oh, I could have did this or I should have did that, and like it has nothing to do with you. And like they also, you know, I was reading a book where it was just like, it's almost, you know, you're putting yourself in this place, like you swear you're the main character, even if as people pleasers, like, you don't like having the center of attention, and or like, or you're the type of person that doesn't like to be the center of attention. But when you think of it as how you keep thinking of yourself as, I need to be the one to, like, you know, or someone's thinking of me this way, and you're just overthinking about everything, you're making yourself the main character when probably no one's really paying that much attention, like, to you. And it's so
I could say I do that myself.
And that's what it's like, that's me.
And not even in like Yeah, not even like in a cocky way, like, oh, the
No.
world revolves around me. No, it's more
Yeah.
so like, oh, I bet you that they're thinking such and such about me. So then I have,
Yeah.
in my mind, I think I have to prove to everyone around
Overcompensate.
me that I'm a good person or whatever. And
Yeah.
like, I don't have the intentions of probably what they're not even thinking, anyways. But in my head, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah. Isn't that so funny that it's like
So
we
weird.
never think of ourselves as like, oh, I think about myself all the time.
Hell no.
No, it's like you're always thinking about other people, but thinking about what they're thinking of you. And in
Yeah.
reality, they're probably not paying like a second thought to it.
And truly, who cares? When you think about it logically, it's like, who cares? But when you're in that like mood or that mindset, you're like, oh my God, like they fucking hate me.
Yeah.
They hate me.
Truly, I think what probably like the stem of it is us not being sure with ourselves, like within ourselves, you know, because if we were, regardless of what we did, if we were like genuinely just like unapologetically being ourselves and that was it, if someone didn't like it or they did, like you said, who cares? We wouldn't care.
Return
because
to
like,
sender.
we know we're being ourselves, being a good person, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I'm speaking for myself, if I'm being honest, you know, like I'm not sure of myself and trying to figure all that out. So that process is really hard to like lock in. You know, I feel like I somewhat know who I am, but at the same time, the overthinking comes into play where it's like, damn.
And it's also because you're not to say that, okay, this is gonna sound kind of weird, but I can explain it. Not to say that we like are different people with different people, but like I do act a little bit different with you than I would, let's say, certain people in my family or like certain things like that. Like if I'm more comfortable with you, you're going to get more of me, like who I actually am versus like the version I let other people know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like not to say that I'm fake. I'm not fake. Like it's not like that at all, but it's just like I don't feel I can be myself with you if I don't feel like safe enough. And so you don't get that version of me. So then it's like, that's my boundary. Like you don't get to know who I really am. You get to know like this surface level version, I guess.
Yes, a surface level. That's like the perfect kind of word to sum it up, I guess, you know?
Right.
And that's the part that really gets me, honestly, is like I wish I could just be the type of person that I was just whoever it was, I was just myself. I didn't care. I didn't have to filter out like, okay, I'm comfortable with this person. I'm gonna just be silly, be goofy, whatever. Like I could just meet someone and already kind of be that. And I feel like that's how you start to make a deeper connection with somebody.
Because that's your true personality.
Exactly. Yeah. And if someone really connects with you, then like cool. And if someone doesn't, then okay, cool. Like our personalities don't match, you know, and that's fine. But I don't even know that because I can't let myself get to that point of comfortability to just openly be that with anybody besides people I already know I'm comfortable with.
Exactly. And then also it's like with that though, it's like, okay, if we were to be more open, it's like, okay, but where's the boundary between just trusting too easily?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard. Well, and I'm not saying we're out here making new friends all the time and all that. No, but I'm just saying, like, in that scenario, like, if you're meeting a new friend, for example, and like they seem cool, but like they can only seem cool because you don't know them.
Yeah.
You can't say really much else, but like if you start giving a little bit of your personality and it goes good, it's like, okay, cool. But then also, are you trusting too soon and then like letting your guard down too soon? Or
I think that's our trust issues.
Yeah.
I think we really do. And that's
kind of, we do it to protect ourselves.
Exactly. And that's where it gets hard because it's like even it feels the same, right? It feels the same as in like being openly yourself with somebody and kind of just like making this deeper connection that like we have to be able to talk about, you know, deeper issues or things that we would only talk about with people we know we can trust.
Yeah.
But it's hard to differentiate that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I only show this side of, you know, myself with the people I trust. So how do I just openly do that without then oversharing or
exactly that's the part that I have a problem with too. It's like being open and vulnerable versus oversharing and now like I trauma dumped on this person and like, it's like that's not good,
bro. All I asked was what you had for lunch. Like
I just said what's your favorite color. so like, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, that's the hard part. And that's again where social anxiety comes to play.
Right. Like, to where I don't even want to go anymore. I'm gonna stay my ass home because now I'm stressed.
Yeah. It's a bit of a shit show, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Trying to piece it together is like, I really want to. I really genuinely want
I'd love to have it together.
Where, oh my god, I would love to be able to just have an open. I used to, honestly, I used to be able to have a conversation with anybody. Yeah. Like I didn't care whatever it was. I didn't care who. Like we could have a conversation about anything and like keep it going as long as the other person too is, you know, like at least responding to me. Like yeah, you don't even have to go into depth about nothing. But like if you're just responding, cool, I can keep a conversation going. Yeah. For some reason now I have such a harder time doing that. Like I'll think in my head, shit, we're not talking. What should I say?
Right, like, oh, it's silent.
Oh, let me think of something. And then I'm like, all I can either think about is either something that's too deep that like I can't just jump into this conversation with this person.
Are you gonna scare them?
Yeah, or it's like the most generic, basic, vague thing that's just like that small talk that is so annoying. Right. To me,
that's the weather. I don't want to fucking talk about the weather. I don't care.
I actually just finished, well, not this past one, but I finished reading a book about like literally about small talk, right? And it was kind of saying, because that's something I hate. I hate small talk. I hate,
because it's like cringe almost.
It's so cringe and it's just boring. And you know, it's very, like you said, it's very surface level, you know? And but the book was pretty much saying like you have to pretty much learn to master small talk to get past it. You can't, you have to get good at it so that you don't have to deal with it no more. Yeah, you know,
it's just like everything else. You have to freaking practice to be good at it.
And I'm like, oh, things that like come so easily to people. Yeah, for us, we just struggle with it so hard.
Like I think about how exhausted I'm gonna be after an event versus honestly, I feel like you're so excited to go to such and such.
No, but I feel like you're so good. Like seeing you talk with people. It doesn't seem like small talk though. Like you make it very casual and very natural.
Dude, in my body, I'm literally fucking panicking.
No, but it doesn't come across that way though. Oh like God, at least to me. God. And I mean, maybe it's the blind leading the blind because I'm saying I don't know about it either. But like
that could be true too. It looks so because you don't look awkward to me either. I would tell you like, oh girl, like we need to work on. I'm not gonna have you out here crazy if I knew something better. I don't. I just guess I fake it well. I don't know.
No, yeah, like I'm just panicked. To me, it looks like, you know, it's very just natural. You know, like whatever, making conversation. Because recently we kind of had to do that. You know, like, and I think like you were.
It
just
went well. I think.
Yeah. Cool. No, I think it went really, really well.
Thanks, boss.
You know, the other side could have been a very different experience, but like at least in my opinion, I thought it went fine.
I think it went well, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of like, you know, figuring that out and learning how to master it, I guess.
Right. And I think too, like you said, like not being 100% sure of yourself or knowing who you are, I feel like is really hard.
Yeah, because I will instantly feel like if I said something that maybe someone made a face to or
no one responded to anything at all.
Yeah, or no one said anything back, I'm gonna think about that for the rest of the fucking week. Like I'm gonna think about like,
months
damn,
from now.
Maybe I showed too much of my personality. Maybe that was weird. Now they think I'm cringe. Now that
was that oversharing.
Yeah, and anytime I open up about something that's like vulnerable or something, I will always think about it afterwards, like, oh dang, I shouldn't have done that. Oh damn,
right. Or I should have just been fucking quiet. Like, why did I have to be the only one to say something?
Yeah. And it's the worst.
Don't like, we always see that quote that's like, don't dull your light or whatever, blah blah. Right. And it's like, that's true. Like if it came across my head to say and I said it, it was on my heart for a reason to say it. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So it's like you have to kind of just let it go. But I get it, girl. It's fucking hard. And then you're like, did I say it dumb? Even I'll keep hearing it in my head, like how I even said it. And I'm like, fuck, why did I even like just shut up? Oh my God. It's so bad.
No, yeah, it's so very, you know, it's rough. But I think at some point, once we kind of get, you know, coming back to the boundaries part of it, like once we get more sure of ourselves and we're just being, you know, being naturally being ourselves or whatever, and if someone doesn't like that, then that's kind of like a set boundary that we have, that that's them, you know what, like that's fine, but not let it affect us in the sense of like, oh my god, maybe I did something wrong, or I said something, that I shouldn't have said. It's more of just like our personalities don't match, like that's okay.
Or like you said, maybe they were triggered by something and you didn't mean it in a bad way or a malicious way, but they were triggered by it. Like they're still entitled to that feeling, but in however they have to deal with that kind of on their own.
And I think that's where it gets hard is, maybe it's the people pleasing, but I think just in general, like a decent human being, like if you felt like you triggered somebody, like I would genuinely feel bad, I'm like, but if I didn't know that,
especially if they're really upset, like
exactly, and a lot of the times they're not going to tell you that, like someone's going to feel the type of way and they're not going to say anything directly to you, they're just now going to have they're going to feel the type of way about you, kind of. And to me, I would genuinely feel bad if I felt like I did trigger somebody and I wasn't meaning to, but you can't do anything about it if they don't come to you.
Exactly.
And I think that's something I struggle with a lot is I want to try to make up for it, even though we've like, it would be so much better to just have a direct conversation about what happened,
but they're kind of beating around the bush.
Then you feel like you have to overcompensate to make it up.
No, I agree. And it's also like, it's kind of awkward too, because you're like, I don't know why you would be acting weird toward me now. And like, if you didn't know, like you said, they never brought it to your attention. It's like, I can't do anything about that. Like, you didn't even give me the opportunity to apologize or anything. So you're kind of having this fight with yourself at this point.
And I don't know if that's a boundary that would be like, if you don't come to me directly about an issue that you have, I'm not going to like overexert myself anymore to try to make it up to you.
I don't know if that's a boundary with your time and your energy. For sure.
But I think definitely I'm kind of getting to a place, at least with that, not with everybody, but with certain people, it's like, if you feel the type of way about something and I know I didn't say it in a rude way, I can't do anything about it.
And like, I'm okay with that at this point. You didn't give me the opportunity to do anything about it.
And like, and then it comes into those like, I'll tell you later, like subliminal like these like snide comments and things petty. Like and it's like, dude, like that's at this point becoming a boundary for me. It's like, I'm gonna come around less if that's what's gonna be like, like if you can't
about to piss me off.
No, for real. It's also like, if we're at a certain place, like if I can't tell you the truth, I
can't offer you anything if I can't offer you the truth. I'm sorry.
I don't want to be the type of person where I can't tell you the truth. Like if I feel like there's some, how do I explain it? Anyone that's close to me, if I'm doing something wrong, I want them to tell me. Like, don't have me out here looking dumb. Don't have me out here.
Don't be a yes man.
Like let me know if there's something that I can be doing better, right? If I didn't react to something like the best way or whatever, let me know. Like, don't do it in a kind way, but like
you don't have to respect me if you're gonna say something, but
like just tell me what it is. I respect that a lot more, even if I don't like it at the moment. At the end of the day, like I'm gonna be happy that you told me, So if I feel like I can't do that with somebody, then to me it's a problem, right?
You just wouldn't be as close to that person, I feel like. Which, like you said, that would be your boundary, not being close to you.
Like you can't handle being told when something you're doing isn't right. You're not allowing yourself room for growth, one, and like it affects other people too.
And like, the people who you do have around you, if they were, I'm gonna just say correct because I can't think of a better word. If they were to like quote unquote correct you on something that you did or said, I feel like if that person's around you close enough to speak up and say something, then you respect their opinion enough to listen to what they're saying. Because at the end of the day, that's still their opinion on whatever the situation was or whatever you said. But like, if you hurt somebody's feelings or like you said something off to them, like, yes, I guess them being triggered by it is their responsibility, but if they brought it to your attention, like you actually hurt them, then I feel like you'd be like, oh shit, I'm sorry, like I would have never said it, or like had I known it was gonna hurt somebody's feelings. But then like, does that mean that you are solely responsible for your triggers, and also communicating your boundaries.
Right.
But is it everyone else's responsibility also to respect those boundaries? Or like what responsibility does someone else have with your boundaries? Does that make sense?
No, I think it's a great question, because I feel it's kind of hard though, because I do think that if someone has openly like communicated, hey, this is a boundary for me, like, or this is a trigger for me,
right,
this, please try not to do that, or say, talk about these things, whatever. It's hard, because I think it is, just out of respect for somebody else,
right,
to not purposely trigger them and not purposely step over a boundary that they've openly communicated that they have. But at the same time, I think it's within reason. Like, if you're setting these boundaries or these things that, like, oh, no one can talk about the sun when they're around me, or the weather when they're around me, because I have a traumatic experience, like,
right,
that's not everyone
it's
else's
gonna get
problem though.
to a point where it's like,
yeah, so it's like, I think within reason, yeah, but like, if it's almost anything, like no one can talk about anything around you, then it's something that you need to start figuring out yourself,
I
because
was gonna say that,
you can't control the environment around you. You can just control yourself and how you
and how
react
you
to it.
react to it. Yeah.
So it's like, that's where it
And
kind of
if
gets
you're that
messy.
easily triggered, you probably shouldn't be hanging out in group settings. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. It's
I'm
like,
sorry. Like, obviously within reason, like we said. If
yeah,
someone's just saying some off shit, maybe just don't associate with them. And it
yeah,
probably has less to do with you than does have to do with them. But
yeah,
if it's normal conversation, everyone's contributing to it, and it's like whatever, and you just happen to be triggered for whatever reason, then like maybe remove yourself, gather
yeah,
yourself, and then come back. But if it's genuinely like pointed at you or something disrespectful, then I feel like that's way different,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because then it's like intentional.
I think it's just mostly the intent that really, I guess that's the most important when it comes to those. Like, if the person's purposefully doing it, then obviously that's a problem. But if
Right.
it's not done intently or intentionally to hurt somebody, then as long as it's communicated and both you guys can kind of like, well, that's the main thing, is talking to the person and being like,
Right.
hey,
Like
I felt this
compromise in a
way,
way.
or yeah, just be like,
Mhm.
me, find a middle ground that's like
Yeah.
where both of you guys are understanding each other.
Right. Yeah. And then also, like, if you can't come to a conclusion, or you just can't respect each other in that way, because maybe vice versa, maybe that was their boundary the
Yeah,
other way, and if you just can't come to a decision, then I think just removing yourself and like just calling it what it is probably the best option, because you're
yeah,
just going to keep setting each other off, you know
yeah,
or if that person doesn't, for example, like your boundary might not be directly with this person, it's with someone that they associate with.
oh yeah,
And so then it's like that direct person who's directly not related to you, but like has a relationship with you, if they're not respecting your boundary to not want to be around someone they associate with, then it's
yeah,
like, is that disrespecting your boundary, or is that something that you just have to deal with,
yeah.
you know
That's
because
a good.
when the person's a boundary, what do?
That's honestly, and I
Asking
have
for
a
advice.
situation like that. No, for real, I have a situation like that. Literally,
Me too.
to this day, where
Yeah.
it's like someone else is the boundary, where it's like, I refuse to be around this person.
Right.
I'm not going to put myself in a situation anymore.
Yeah.
We have to deal with this person. But our, like, I guess the mutual person that we both have
Right. You don't want to not
doesn't,
have a relationship with that person,
yeah,
or let an outside factor, I guess, have a factor on your relationship, but it's
mm,
kind of them doing that. Like,
that,
you
and
can
when
separate the two, but they can't.
they can't, yeah.
Yeah.
And so if, well, I guess they, in this situation, it's like they
They're
can, and they're
choosing not
choosing
to.
to, yeah, to stay separate then from me as well,
Right.
because they're choosing, okay, well, if this person can't come, then like,
Yeah.
I'm not coming.
So you adjusted your, basically, like, I'm trying to think of the word. Like, you adjusted your life to them being absent from it versus you having to adjust your boundary with that person.
Yes,
And that's your boundary.
that's, yeah. And that wasn't until I got, like, I guess, old enough
Right.
to
to have a say,
create that boundary. Yeah, because as a kid, like, you know, you get brought places.
Oh, that's such a good, that's,
you know what I mean?
Topic. Yeah.
Like, you don't really have as much of a say in it. You get brought places, that person's there, then it is what it is. Right. You know, you have to deal with it. But once you get to a certain point where it's like, I don't have to go to this anymore. I'm not gonna, like, if anything, I'll just either drive myself or I'll go see this person separately or whatever it is. Like, now that I have a say, I am able to create that boundary and stick to it because it's my decision.
Right. And the whole not having a say is such a like old school type of parenting that I know, because we experience it so heavy, we're not going to be those types of parents.
Oh yeah.
You know, like if our children have a boundary with a person or with something and it's obviously reasonable, you can't be like, I don't like freaking vegetables and that's my boundary. Like, obviously not that. But if it's someone making them feel some type of way, uncomfortable or whatever the case may be, I don't give a shit who you are. Like, that is my job as your parent then to protect be the advocate for your boundary.
Yeah. And instead of, and it was, you know, and I'm sure again that part wasn't intentional when it was like, but you know, I was made to adjust my boundaries to be around this person's like, oh, when this person's around, you know, wear longer shirts or wear this or like don't wear that or, you know, things like that. When it's like, damn, first off, I'm a child, you know, like
it's not about me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, you get made to adjust other things about yourself or your boundaries,
especially being a woman.
Yeah.
Or I guess in that case, a girl, like a young girl.
Yeah. So it's a lot of adjusting your boundaries when you have someone in there that, or you don't have people that are actually advocating the way I guess they should have been. You know? And it's like, I don't have any resentment, but like, you could have did better. You know? And that's,
and obviously if they knew better, they'd probably do better.
Right.
Because they probably also, to their older generation, whatever that looks like, that would be them disrespecting them. And it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
But I just, because like obviously they didn't have their boundaries respected by their parents or enforced by their parents either. And it's just like generational.
And that's why it's like, it's, you know, that it's a good thing that this generation's kind of more, for lack of better words, but like woke, you know, when it comes to
woke.
Yeah, like, you know, being more aware of people's feelings and comfortability and whatnot. And not making them do things that make them uncomfortable. But I also think to an extent it's gone extreme in a lot of, you know, or a lot of people take it to the extreme. I think the purpose of it is absolutely correct. And I think that's what we should be doing. I just think everything gets brought to the extremes nowadays. And that's where it starts to lose its value, because now everyone
crying thinks of wolf it every time.
Way. You know, it's like, dude, there was purpose. There was purpose behind this, and like it's losing its effect.
And it just goes through your fingers. It just
literally
lost. It's kind of like the game of telephone. It's like telephone, where you know, like you tell someone something and then a little bit of the truth is in there, but then maybe they didn't hear it the same way you did or interpret it the same way. So then they go and tell the next person, and it just, by the end, this freaking secret's like not even the same
way to put it. It's like a telephone.
It literally is generationally.
Which like makes me nervous for the next generation, but you know, we can only do our part. And when we have kids, and you know how we raise them and what kind of people we want them to be when they grow up and in society, but
because that's really what matters. Like, your childhood matters 1,000%, but that's because it mirrors in some ways who you'll be as an adult. But
for sure,
your childhood is so short. It's 18 summers.
That's crazy.
18 summers, and then you're a whole ass adult. So it's more so important the things that are instilled into you as a child, because it's going to mirror or hopefully have something to do positively with who you are and the morals that you have and like the values that you keep as an adult, because you're going to be an adult a lot longer than you're going to be a child, you know?
Yes. Oh my God.
So it's kind of hard, like, as a kid, not being able to speak up and being seen and not heard as a kid. and not having a say, and it's because I said so, that kind of thing. And then now learning I can have boundaries and I can speak up and I can avoid going to that certain person's house or going to do things with that certain person because I don't want to have to deal with such and such. And as an adult, I get to do that.
Isn't it beautiful? That's like one of the beautiful things.
One of the only things.
Yeah. It's like now we have
like appliances.
Yeah. It's like, damn, okay, that's one, that's one plus. Yeah. But
how you still feel bad about it sometimes because you're expected to do and be who you were as a kid.
Well, because once you start, once you realize as an adult, like, hey, I have more say in what my boundaries are and sticking to them. Once you set those, the people around you aren't used to those boundaries now. And now they're like, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you? Rude. Or like you're being disrespectful. Like, and it's just like, no, I'm finally allowing myself to protect my own peace.
Yeah.
And that's
the most important thing is protecting your peace.
Yeah.
You only got so much of it.
And when they say, like, how we were saying, there was a TikTok of a girl who her grandpa had asked her daughter, the girl's daughter, to do something. And I think she said either like, not yet, or I'll do it in a little bit. He's like, I told you to do it right now. So go do it. Don't be disrespectful. So the mom was like, she asked the grandpa, she's like, well, what do you think is the difference between her being disrespectful and obedient?
Yeah.
He's like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, you're asking her to do something. She's saying she's going to do it, let's say when she's done doing what she's doing now.
Right.
You want her to do it right now in this moment.
Yeah.
She's in the middle of something. She said she's going to do it after. You're taking it as disrespectful because she's not obeying what you're saying, your like direct orders right now.
Right.
But is she really being disrespectful, or is she just not being obedient?
The obedient part.
Right. And it's like not
you
being
lost the
obedient.
Control.
Exactly. It's a power trip.
Yeah.
What it really is a power trip.
Yeah. They're like, I'm not about to be such and such age and be your grandpa and have a kid telling me what they're gonna do. That's
but like, doesn't it
like the reasoning behind it?
And it like logically makes sense. Like, hey, I'm in the middle of something right now. Like, let me finish what I'm doing. And I'm not saying no. I'm not saying okay. So like, I would, for some reason, I went on this binge of like watching the pranks that like mom and kids do to the dad, where the kid will tell the mom to shut up and like to see the dad's reaction, right? Now, and again, I could be wrong on this. So, because I know, gentle parenting and all this stuff. So like, I could be wrong when I say that if my kid tells me to shut up, that I am taking as disrespect.
Yeah.
Because if
there's other ways you could have said what you need to say.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, to me, I would take that as disrespect. I'm not telling you, like, I didn't tell you to do anything. Or if I said, hey, can you go do the dishes? And you're like, oh my God, mom, shut up. That's rude. That's dang, all I said was go do the dishes. Like,
right.
And I'm not.
It would be one of those things where like your head spins around, like, who do you think you're talking to?
Like an owl just all the way.
Who? Before you go check them, because you can't come at them as like, to a certain extent, I don't agree that you should be disrespectful back to them, because that's not teaching them.
Right. And that's
where also, who the fuck are you talking to?
Exactly. That's where it gets so hard. It's like, yo, if my kid ever told me to shut up, or something,
it's not going to go over well.
May the Lord be with me, and may the Lord be with my child, because that's crazy. Like, to tell a parent to shut up is like pretty wild, especially like uncalled for, like unnecessarily. But to me, that's disrespectful. But like, if they said, hold on, mom, I'm in the middle of like this, like, I'm gonna go do it, and like, give me 10 minutes.
Right.
Okay. Like, you're still gonna go do it. So it is what it is. I don't need you to do it right now in this moment, unless like something else is going on.
It's the control, like you said, like the power of knowing, like, I can make them go do it right now if I cause a problem, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then that takes away their own like individuality of, I have to drop everything I'm doing to go do whatever this person wants.
Yeah.
I
mean, literally, I've been told, like, you have kids basically to do those things for you, like the mundane little, like, random, stupid, take out the trash, do the dishes type thing. Like, I've literally been told that to my face.
That's kind of wild.
I'm like,
wild. It's like crazy too, because depending on, obviously depending on the child, but like also how you raise them. kids will start doing things on their own because they also mirror what they see, right? So like one of the main things is leading by example. So if they see like, hey, every time when she's eating and she is done, she takes her plate to the sink and rinses it off.
Right.
She doesn't just leave it there. Okay, like let me start also doing that. You know what I'm saying? So like certain little things they pick up on as kids. So like if you were doing that, then they would start doing it.
Exactly. But you're expecting your kid to do those things for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like weird. It's just kind of crazy how boundaries can get mixed up, you know, disrespect, the term or meaning of disrespect and obedience can get misconstrued, and but really it's crazy how it affects you all the way up until you're into your adulthood.
Yeah. Like in the fact that if you do the right thing and you do listen and you're obedient and this and that, more than likely if you were raised in that logic, you're going to be a people pleaser.
Yes.
So then it's like, how the fuck is this helping me in any way, shape, or form? Because I'm just being obedient. And then it's like that shit can get dangerous very very quickly, you know.
And I think it you know can really take away any type of creativity or
individuality
in the sense of showing your own personality, because it can get taken a type of way and then you don't want to have to deal with whatever that comes with.
Right.
And I also heard this term, and now when I heard it, it was something called like glass child something. And when we looked it up, it wasn't what I had heard. And when I seen it, I seen it on TikTok. So, you know, obviously everything grain of salt. But like when we looked it up, it was actually referred to as when there's a, like say you have a sibling that's sick or, you know, has, you know, life-threatening something. And so the other siblings kind of, they get called the glass children because all of the parents' attention is going towards the child that's sick or has something going on with them. And they kind of get left in the background. On TikTok, it was that same concept, but not necessarily that there was a sick child. It was more of like the sibling was just always getting into stuff or always had something going on or was kind of like, in a sense, like maybe the problem child.
Yeah.
So you being the one, you kind of had to maintain being the child that didn't cause your parents those problems.
Or that, like cause them more stress because they're already dealing with enough with so and so.
Yes. And I was like,
dude.
Well, you know, that also really, because I had never heard that before. So when I heard,
I've never heard that term either. I
was like, well, that kind of, you know, opens a lot of doors in a sense, because then I'm like, well, that also comes into play with becoming a people pleaser. Because you see what, you know, what your parents are going through, what the child's going through when it comes to them having all these different issues. You're seeing it kind of from, you know, like an outside perspective.
Right.
You don't want to be the one also adding to them. You want to be the one that's like always listens and does what they're told, and
not a problem for them, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, you know, that's kind of the same concept when it comes to not allowing yourself to really be yourself, because you're just thinking of the other people.
Exactly. Like, how do I fit in, or how can I like shape shift my personality to blend with these people that I'm sitting with, or whatever the case is. Yeah. No, that makes so much sense. I've heard, like, I know the feeling of that. I just didn't know that there was
like a term
for it. Yeah. And then it's also like you don't really get to show your parent or whomever's taking care of you the real version of you, because it's always been a dulled version because of that reason.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
it's been dulled.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, well, if I'm too much, then I'm gonna then be a problem. And it's crazy because you could be the youngest feeling like that, you could be the oldest feeling like that, you could be in the middle somewhere. Like it really doesn't have a specific like type of person, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you think that also has to do with like empathy? Like people who are like empaths and like, oh my God, this is getting dangerous.
I think like empaths, and you can just like naturally be an empath, sure, but I really feel like when you grow up in a certain environment to where you have to really be observant of people's
like overly observant
behavior, I guess, because you how do I explain it? Like you want to either diffuse a situation or
protect the peace.
Yes. You want
just
to protect
like what we said before.
Like, the second you notice something's going on, you have to try to like, okay, let me try to fix this. Let me try to get in between this, like make sure it doesn't get more than what it is now.
Yeah. Or even the tone of what they said. It's not even an action yet, maybe. It's just the tone of something that was said. You're like, shit,
so
like you're like a dog, like your ears go up, like, oh shit, like something's gonna happen.
Yeah. And I think that's what also
it's like it triggers that fight or flight, and then you're like, I need to do something to fix
that's why it's so hard to break that when it comes to anyone else you meet, because if you hear a certain tone, or like, you know, they say something in a certain way, now you're like, oh shit, like this can go left, like let's backtrack, let's try to
like avoid whatever's happening.
Yes, because you want to avoid any kind of confrontation, because confrontation, which doesn't always have to be a bad thing, was right, you know, so like you don't know,
because it's usually uncomfortable, and you run away from things that make you feel uncomfortable, when sometimes that's what you needed to grow, you know. Like sometimes, like this conversation, it's not uncomfortable because we're comfortable with each other, but we're not very much comfortable with boundaries in general. Like we're still working on it ourselves. So the ideas behind the conversation is a little bit uncomfortable, and something that we probably need to talk about in order to embody it better, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, bro.
For real. But that's what sucks.
It's one of those things, like you kind of have to just take a chance, see what results happen, and then all right, adjust from there, because that didn't work, but we could try it again, maybe a little altered, you know.
Like
I don't
tweak
know,
it a little bit,
trial and error.
Yeah. And that's what's the error is, like once you hit an error like a couple times, you're like, I'm never doing this again, and you never do that again,
because you're cringed by yourself.
You know, and that's what makes it so hard, because you're like, you have to get past that.
But it's not like, even secondhand embarrassment if it happened to you.
So I'm like, no, and then it's like, if there was other people around, not only am I embarrassed for myself,
oh my god,
then I get embarrassed, because if those people got embarrassed, that means it was even like 20 times worse than what I thought it was.
And they all have a story that has to do with me, and I'm already embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
It's embarrassing.
Embarrassed. Oh my god.
Shit, social anxiety sucks.
It really does.
I really
fucking does.
I applaud the people that have either grown past it.
Yeah.
If you've never had it, good for you. But I'm more looking at the people, or I admire the people that have had it and got past it, because that's just hard.
Right. If you never dealt with it, you can't deal with that.
I'll be like, well, what the hell? Like, why am I listening to you for? You don't know what the fuck I'm talking about?
Dude, it's so funny. I seen this TikTok, and shoot, it was like a mom or a older sister or something with a younger boy. He was probably maybe like 10, 11. And she was saying, she was like, yeah, you know, he struggles with autism. And he was like, I don't struggle, I just have it.
He said, bitch, what the fuck?
He said, who are you to tell me?
Who's struggling?
I'm struggling.
I like that. He set a boundary.
Exactly.
Don't tell nobody about my struggle.
He said, I'm not struggling, I just have it.
I like that.
Dude, it had me rolling. I could not stop.
Funny.
I was like, and you better. That's right.
How old is he?
He was probably like 11, maybe 12 at the most.
And can stand up for himself better than I can.
Period. At 20, okay, 5.
Dude, that's crazy. And I think, I mean, obviously the fact that we've gotten to a point where we're more aware of you know, what's going on is growth from before. But I almost feel like it's, I don't know, any stage is hard, but it's like hard when you know what's wrong.
Yeah.
You're like trying to fix it, but it's not working yet.
Right. And it's also dude, like,
I'm too aware now.
But it's also because, like, you know, with anxiety too, it's like, okay, if you do too much avoiding, like if your go-to coping mechanism is avoiding and shutting down and reclusing and all that, it's like, okay, so then when I'm put in an uncomfortable position, I want to then like retreat as a boundary. But then it's also like, okay, am I just avoiding all my problems? But I'm saying that's a boundary. You know what I mean? Like, that's hard. Yes. That's fucking hard, bro. I think we just I think that this conversation really just sums up the fact that we probably need therapy.
Oh, 100%. And let me tell you something right now, okay, guys, because I know that in a past episode I mentioned that I really wanted to start therapy. Now I'm not gonna say nothing about Kaiser, but let me just tell you, it is really hard.
Yeah.
When you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm ready for therapy, I'm open to it, I want to try it, and you try to make appointments, and they're like you get one appointment a month.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like
they're 40 minutes
in the hell is that gonna do for me?
40 minutes long too.
At that point, I mean, we're not even gonna get past the surface level for like 2 years. Exactly. If we're doing once a month sessions for 40 minutes to an hour. And I don't like, it's hard for me to open up in general.
Yeah.
But especially to like some random person who it's gonna be a long time before we even touch on like what the root of the problem is for whatever it is we're going through. Like, what is once a month gonna do for me? Absolutely nothing. Like literally nothing. So and it's so hard.
Some people end up not starting at their childhood for that sole purpose. They'll be like, what I'm dealing with right now. And then if they build a connection with that person and then they start unpacking things, they do it that way. But it's also like you're paying for all of these appointments.
Yeah.
And so then it's like it gets pricey.
Also that, finding someone that you do get like a connection with, so finding the doctor that works for you, and that can take a while, and that part of it's starting fine,
each time,
but you're starting over each time, and it's once a month.
And the notes that they're reading are just interpretations. It's not from your mouth. They're not they're not sitting there directly typing what you're saying. They're just interpreting it and putting it in there. So the way that the next person is reading it, they might think you're batshit crazy. Yeah. And you're sitting there talking about fucking random stuff. They're like, this is not like correlating with what the other doctor said. So then it takes even more layers to get to that point.
Like, I haven't found a doctor that I was like, oh my God,
like you felt good.
Yeah, this. Yeah. Like, my sister had to go outside of Kaiser to find someone that she could speak with weekly, once a week. Yeah. And it's like really been helping her.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it took a lot for her to get to that with point. That other person. Kaiser didn't want to help her get there. She had to go through multiple different people. And it's crazy that you have to go through so much trying to advocate for yourself, going through so much to say, like, I need help. I need to speak to a therapist. And you're getting a pushback.
Right.
But like mental health is so important.
That's what I was
when I'm pushing for it for myself, you guys are fighting me, like I'm just saying I need to go outwards of this because it's not working. What's wrong with that?
Exactly. Or on your first appointment, they're so quick to be like, okay, well, we can see each other monthly and you can also take this medication in between, and like, we can put you on this medication that's going to help you and blah blah. And like, have your own opinion. Don't listen to us. We're not doctors, but I'm just saying, like, they're so quick to sign that prescription over and just shoo you away versus sitting there and actually giving you the fucking time of day to be like, damn,
getting to the root of the problem.
Yeah,
I feel like the medication, without obviously, and like you said, we're not doctors, and this is just our personal opinion. Yeah. But like, if we have a few sessions, and I tell you what's going on, we haven't even touched on really anything of significance yet, and you're pushing a medication on me, it feels to me like you're just putting a band-aid over it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even really trying to get to the root of the problem. You're just trying to maintain somewhat of a healthy like state. But that's not going to work in the long run, besides me getting stuck on these pills.
Exactly.
Because I haven't figured out how to myself actually deal and cope with whatever it is, that's whatever emotions, memories, experiences, like whatever.
Yeah.
That's not teaching me nothing besides, let me just take this pill.
Exactly. And then also, if you are going to do medication, personally, I just think that you need to have an exit plan. Like, it's not I'm going to give you this prescription, you have unlimited refills and you're going to take it for the rest of your life. Like, there should be an exit plan to where they're like, we're going to start you on this, see how you do. And if you truly do have like a chemical imbalance or, something more than, I don't mean to say like more than just anxiety, because it's not just anxiety, but I mean something that like truly is altered or something in your brain, like I don't know that talk therapy is going to heal that if there's something missing. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So it's like if you do have to take it, it's like, okay, we're going to start you with this, monitor you, but also you're going to be on it for X amount of years or days or months or whatever, because we don't want this to be a lifetime thing. I don't think it should be like that unless it's something like very severe.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like it shouldn't be, it's almost like a crutch, you know, like I just feel like it should, if it genuinely helps you, amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should be
like,
right. Yeah. But like, I just don't think it should be the only thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like with the medication, as long as it's helping, also you should be doing other things, or, you know, having those whatever sessions that still teach you how to work through those emotions on your own.
Right.
Because in general, it's just good knowledge to have. Like, even if you're not dealing with whatever it is, you know, mentally, like depression, anxiety, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just good knowledge to have, to know how to handle your emotions and like deal with it, because at any point, like at any point in every single person's life, someone's going to go through something traumatic. Like, it's just a part of life, whether it's, you know, a death or whatever. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Everyone goes through it. So you have to know how to deal with those.
Exactly. Because if you don't, like, that first time, it like really sets the tone for kind of how you deal with it going forward. And granted, yes, like certain people might be closer to you, might affect you more. I'm just saying, like, grief in general is just fucking insane. Like, we could definitely probably cry our eyes out doing an episode about that. I don't know if anyone would want to watch that, because it's just gonna be us crying on the couch. But
here's our snot sniffling.
Right, like, y'all want us to be vulnerable, that's the fucking topic. But I just feel like everything is such a personal thing, and I just, if it's done with kindness and like with good intentions, like you said, like everything will be all right, you know. But if it's certain people that you don't need in your life because they're an unhealthy person, then put that healthy boundary of separating yourself, because that matters more. Because I'm sure they're not thinking about how they're affecting you. They're not thinking about how they're hurting you. You're only worried about the hurt that they're causing, you know?
Right.
I'm just not here for it no more.
No, and I don't think anybody should be. It's again, it's hard when you're still young, especially if you're getting put into situations that you have no control over, right?
Right.
But getting to the point where you can now make your own boundaries, really stick to them. And if the people around you, it might take some time for them to get used to it. If they're not trying to get used to it, then you don't need them in your life. But if
I think you can find someone.
I think it's also allowing people time to adjust too, you know, because like, I get that it can be, you know, oh shit, this is new, or oh, I don't know, I've never had to deal with this before. I've never had to like work with this before. So I get that, but I think as long as someone's genuinely trying to make the effort, then I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But if you're just completely fighting me back on it and saying I'm wrong because I'm setting
like
this
gaslighting me,
then if you're gonna do that, then it's like, okay, I don't need that.
Yeah.
You know,
we can call it quits. We can be, you know, not
clearly,
even
like,
friendly. It's really just like cordial, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, if it's like a forced situation. But personally, I'm not gonna like go out of my way to go and hang out with you and have a relationship.
Yeah. So I think, you know, if you have boundaries, definitely I would say every once in a while, like, reflect on your boundaries.
Yeah.
So I think there's always room for self-correction. You know, if you have like a lot of boundaries, maybe it's something also internally you need to work on.
Yeah.
Lord knows I have
or
those
more
too,
so if you have like more boundaries for other people than you do personal boundaries, then that's probably also a problem.
Yeah. So, you know, do some reflection every now and then. But definitely stick to your boundaries if they're really important to you. If it's something that means, like, you know, it hits you a certain way, and when someone crosses that, it really affects you, then stick to it and don't allow those people to do that to you, because they could care less, you know.
Exactly.
They really could care less, or could not care less, and you're going to be affected by that in the long run so much more deeply.
So you're going to carry it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the hardest part. So I really like what you said. Keep those set boundaries for yourself too, because
so much.
That's really the most important.
We're just trying to help you guys. Like, when we learn something, knowledge is power. So we're going to share that with you guys too. And hopefully,
and it's so much easier to
helped.
like say it to you guys. Obviously, you know, we're still working on that too. And we tell each other the same things. Like she'll be telling me, I'll be telling her. But when it's yourself, obviously it's so much harder. Like you don't even realize you're not holding yourself to it in the moment. Because those other factors of like people pleasing or overthinking or anxiety, like those come into play, and that's what clouds everything.
I think what we were saying toward the end, I think has to do or kind of goes with the wisdom of the week. So should we just start there? Because I definitely don't remember where we left off.
No. Yeah, I don't remember where we left off. I feel like I know it did tie in though. I know we were like really doing a good transition to the
we were trying to get there. We just got cut off. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave y'all with some wisdom per usual. Y'all know what time it is. And Gina found the perfect one this week. It has to do exactly with what we're talking about. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Are y'all ready?
Ready.
I was like, I'll just wait a second. Okay. Save your explanations for those who are determined to understand you. Give your silence to those that are determined to misunderstand you. So just dip.
Yeah. Just dip. Do it. Okay, even do it like an experiment. Like just do it for like a week or two or longer than what you would normally go without, you know, seeing or talking to this person, and just see the effects that it has not having this person in your life. And then go back and be like, and if they still try, be like, yo, I was doing great. Yeah. So I'm not about to have you come back into my life to then bring back the negative energy. If we're going to do this, something needs to change, because
that, and also like this week, your homework is to do what Gina said, but that's kind of something that you have to maybe time out a little bit more. Like you probably have to observe for a little bit, but what you can start with even like sooner than that is like noticing how your body reacts and feels around certain people. Like, you know, certain people that make you feel like, damn, this is going to be a whole thing, or like you're kind of trying to avoid them, or you get anxious about having to see them or something. Like take note of that and then just maybe assess what you need to do in that situation with those people, you know.
And remember that sometimes even like zoning out or disassociating can be, you know, a reaction to being around a certain person. Yeah. That's something I learned about myself that I didn't realize before. But when I get around, you know, certain people that I feel is like, okay, you know, gotta brace myself for this interaction or for this couple hours,
gotta prepare.
I literally will like zone out. Like my brain is just trying to kind of get through this time.
Right. And I know it almost puts you in like a bad mood to other people though, because your body's reacting internally, and you're maybe at that point I start feeling a little bit like overstimulated, and then I'm like irritable, or like I have a short fuse, and then sometimes I end up taking it out on other people that has nothing to do with, but it's just because I'm already in my mind, I'm going crazy. Yeah. You know, so it's like I can't handle anything else, and like you're, for whatever reason, like being a bug to me, so like it's like, just too much. Yeah, that's a struggle. Work in progress. Yeah. But hopefully, I mean, I feel like we were being very open and honest about what we experienced, so I know there's someone out there bound to feel the same way. Yeah, or little parts.
Just know that, you know, this is a safe space, obviously. Yeah, you know, it's not like we can have a full-on conversation, like open conversation with you guys, but just know that we're all in this together. Yeah. And if you have actually gotten to the point where you are very sure of yourself and your boundaries, and you've learned how to openly communicate that, drop some of your wisdom down in the comments, anywhere, whatever platform it is that you listen to this to, just because one of us will see it, and then at least we can share it in the next one. Because
oh my God, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, we need it. So, you know, we're just kind of sharing more of our experience, and not necessarily like, you know, what we would tell each other.
We don't got a guide.
Exactly. So if you have some tips, like please let us know. Even if you don't think like, oh, maybe this only works for me, just say it anyways, because you never know, it could actually work for someone else too.
That's this whole episode. We're just saying things that have been for us. So I'm sure there's someone who feels the same way. We were all, for the most part, raised with similar values or similar like upbringings.
Right.
If you're around our age, obviously. So I feel like a lot of people could probably relate to it. Hopefully.
So let us know.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace.